You see, there is a particular parable in the Bible that every time I read this parable in the Bible, every time I open my Bible and read this parable, there's a way it resonates, there's a way it speaks to me as if the Bible was just written today. There's a way this particular parable in the Bible, there's a way it speaks to the reality that I live in today, that we live in today, that a community of peoples and the world live in today. Because it spoke very much about reality, and it's still speaking about productivity today. And that parable is the parable of the talent. Parable of the talent. And the parable of the talent was found in Matthew chapter 25, verse 14 to 30. And why that parable speaks to me a lot, because it gives distinction on what productivity and responsibility looks like. On what productivity and responsibility looks like. And I call it the theology of responsibility. The theology of responsibility. I'm going to start by reading a chunk of the parable before going into what I want to say today. By the way, happy Sunday to everybody. The word of God is alive and active. It's like a double-edged sword. It's always applicable in every generation, every culture, and every community. The best way to interpret, to be hermeneutical about the Bible, is to apply it to the current lived situation. That's why the Bible becomes ever relevant. But let me start by reading the parable of the talent. And it says, I'm reading from Matthew chapter 25, verse 14 to 30. And it said, "For it will be like a man going on a journey, who called a servant, summoned a servant, and entrusted to them his property." This master was going on a journey, and he summoned all the servants and entrusted to them, and he placed in their care his property, not their property, but his property, right? To one of the talents he gave, to one of the servants, he gave 5 talents. To another, he gave 2 talents. To another one, he gave 1 talent. So let's say, for example, he has 3 servants. He gave 5 talents to one. He gave 1 talent to one. To the middle one, he gave 2 talents. Right. So in total, the master has 8 talents. In total, 5, 2, 1. He gave them. And the Bible says something very particular here. It said, to each according to his ability. Oof. To each servant, he gave according to his ability. Meaning the master was wise as a serpent and very observant, calm as a dove, because you can only be calm if you're observant. You can only be observant if you're calm enough to observe. So the master knows what their ability is and what they can manage. So he gave to each one of them according to their ability. He knows what they can carry. He knows what their strength could carry. He knows what their mental strength, mental acumen, mental capacity can carry. And he gave them according to that. But what happened after that? The master went, traveled, of course. When he got back, he summoned them again and said, "Hey, my servant, I'm back. Come and give account." Right? Come and give account of how you've used the talent. Evaluation, right? Evaluation. You have to have a KPI, key performance indicator. What are the performance indicator? You have to come for audition to audit accounts. So when they came to the man that he gave 5 talents, he said, "Well, master, you gave me 5 talents and I have made 5 talents more." Interesting. He got 5 talents from the master, and he made 5 talents more. He was able to generate additional 5 talents. Meaning, the implication of that is that if the master had given this young man all of his talent, he would have gotten double of that. Because this guy literally made 5 talents more. To another guy that he gave 2, he said, hey, master, you gave me 2 talents, and I've made 2 talents more. It was productive. Not beyond what he was given, but he stayed within his limit, his capacity. I'm very sure if the guy with the 2 talents had tried more, he would have maybe gotten 3 or 4 more talents. You see? But something interesting happened. To the first two, he said, oh, wonderful, well done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful over little things. You have been considerate. You have been responsible over little things. I'm going to set you over much. Underline that word. You have been faithful. You have been responsible. You have been productive over little things. I'm going to set you over much. Meaning that you have been able to manage this little capacity, this little office very well. I'm going to set you over much. What is the key issue there? They were productive. And the master said, welcome to the joy of your master. But this particular guy that got 1 talent, what did he say? He said, master, I have heard about you. I know you are a very difficult man, and I know you like to reap where you did not sow. Okay? You are also hard to please. And I was afraid, and I went and hid your talent in the ground. Here is what is yours. He said, oh, master, you like to reap where you did not sow. You're a very difficult man to please, and all this. He said so many things. And he said, I have hid your talent into the ground. Here is it. Thankfully, he returned the talent. But a few things. He says he was afraid of the master. Interesting. Afraid of the master. It wasn't productive. He hid that into the ground. And the master said something. I knew, and the master said, you are a very wicked and slothful servant. You knew that I reap from where I have not sown and gather where I scattered no seed. Then you ought to have invested my money with the bankers. At my coming, I should have received what was my own interest. So take the talent from him and give to him who has 10 more talents. For everyone who has, more will be given. I'm going to stop there for now. But the key things I want to point out here is first, the theology of responsibility. The guy that has 1 talent said he was afraid of the master. He did not even try to invest that money for his master. But what did he do? He went and hid that talent in the ground. You see, and the master did something. He took the talent from him and gave the talent to the guy that has 10. Jesus Christ. And that speaks to me a lot, because the tragedy of 1 talent, it wasn't because he lacked resources. No. But he lacked productivity. By burying what he had, he initiated his own degeneration. The day you stop being productive is the day you stop generating. Human beings are co-participator in the creation process. Meaning we should be creating because we are co-creators. So the day you stop being productive, the day you stop applying productivity to your own KPI, your own key performance indicators, that's the day you stop generating. And that very day you start degenerating, meaning you start deintegrating. That's the issue with this guy here. And in practical sense, when we are reckless, the very moment as individuals, as a people, as a community, when we start to, to begin to be reckless with what we have, with our current resources, whether they are natural minerals, whether they are individual talents or personal skills or communal funds, nature and grace both follow the law of usage. Nature and grace both follow the law of usage. And with that in mind, that which is not utilized effectively is eventually lost. Because nature and grace both follow the law of usage, that which is not used effectively is eventually lost. I'm going to use it in the Nigerian context. Okay? The habit, the Nigerian community, we have a culture of blaming external forces. We blame, instead of we blame God, we blame Christianity, we blame so and so, we blame divine will, systemic poverty, all those things are there. But we have a crisis of stewardship. We have a crisis of stewardship. We are not good stewards because we have not been able to practically utilize the things that we have on our hands. It's not rocket science, bruv. You see, so we have to start working from wishing to working. We have to move from degeneration to growth. We must shift from scarcity mindset, wishing for what we lack. We're always wishing. One to blame. One to blame everybody. Like the servant was blaming his master. The master gave him one talent. Blaming his master. You have the resources, but you lack productivity. You can't even ask questions from other of your fellow servants how they've been able to be productive. Because you are a very prideful human being. You have pride. You don't want to learn from people. What is wrong with Nigerian leaders going to learn how leadership is being run from countries that are doing well? African giants. Where people are hawking food on the streets. Poverty is on the land. Almost half of the population are below poverty line. Below poverty line. So we need to start maximizing what we hold. We need to start auditing our talents. Before asking for more, a nation or individual must account for the current natural and human capital already in their possession. We need to stop this recklessness. Recklessness everywhere. Recklessness. Because responsibility begins with plunging the leaks. Mismanagement is also a form of burying the talent. We mismanage funds. One person will use $100 million to send their children to school in Switzerland. One individual. $100 million to send children to school in Switzerland. Whereas in your village, there are no good schools. Okay, and we need to start building capacity. Because if God gives according to our ability, then the goal is to expand our internal capacity. If the first servant hadn't been able to expand his own internal capacity, there's no way he's going to add additional 5 talents to those talents. We have to do this through discipline and education. These are the only things that will make us fit to handle greater responsibility. It's winter here in the US, and I'm thinking very soon we're going to be having snow and all sorts of things. No system is perfect, but some systems have been able to utilize what they have effectively. I'll say that again. No system is perfect, but some systems have been able to utilize what they have effectively. There's going to be snow everywhere very soon. And what do you see after that? You see each county, each local government, getting people to come pack all these things up, and they have cars. I'm thinking in my head, with the type of leaders that we have in Africa, imagine we have snow in Nigeria. That would be another avenue to steal from the people, an avenue to gomandize, an avenue to do evil. So we look for every avenue to oppress each other. will look for every avenue to oppress each other. So, degeneration is not a punishment sent from above. When a country is suffering, people say, oh, Christianity is our problem. They brought slavery. They gave us religion. Ask them, how responsible are you with what you have? They can't account for it. They're not accountable to anybody. They don't fear anybody. They're not accountable to the rule of law. Nobody fears them. They don't fear anybody. You see, so it's a natural consequences. Degeneration is a natural consequences for people who have refused to learn. And a community like Nigeria who have refused to learn will degenerate. That's a fact. Because to be a faithful trustee of the present, true blessings is often not just by multiplication of a well-managed seed, but also there's an advanced development. To be developed is one thing. To be an advanced developing nation is also another thing. So what am I saying in essence? Is that we need to be more in tune with what responsibility means as a people. Because I'm looking at the future. I'm looking at when we all will leave this planet. What kind of community, what kind of Nigeria, what kind of world are we leaving for the generation behind? And every generation has the mandate to make it better than they met it. Every generation. So I hope that people become more aware that they are participators in the creative process of God. And by so doing, we have to be productive. We have to evaluate. We have to evaluate. Because during the creation time, the book of Genesis told us, and God, after creation, God looked at everything. He evaluated it and said, it is good. Someone was asking me, that God created heaven and earth. He created something on the first day. He went and rested, and this one and that one. That why was God resting? Why did He have to create timeline to create and all those sort of that kind of a question? And in essence, it was saying that if God is so powerful, why did He need to stop creating? It's like He has a timeline and it's operating by time. I said, well, that's a very good question, but it's not being placed directly. God did not stop creation. Man is invited into creation as a co-participator in creation. And God looked at it and said creation was good enough. He evaluated it. He looked at it and said, it is good. It is good enough. So when something is good enough, you don't have to add to it anymore because it is good enough. So I hope that this message meets someone out there that we need to start managing and utilizing what we have more effectively as a people. May God help us. Shalom and happy Sunday to all of you. Blessings from here.